Sports. I'm Ahmann, and today we will be waxing skis. So to start off here, I like to start off with the edges so that you don't destroy the wax. So we're going to start off at an 89-degree bevel on the bottom, and that's 1 degree from a 90, which is about what you want for downhill skiing. So just run this along here, and if you run into any problem areas, just go over them a couple of times, and it'll usually take the burrs right off. So one thing you want to do when you're working on the edges is the file's going to have a little arrow of the direction of travel. You're going to want to make sure you follow that. So you're going to have to flip that around every once in a while to make sure you're still going the right way. And file with the ski. Some people say it doesn't really matter a whole lot, but I just file with the ski because that's what I've learned. Alrighty, so after the bottom, we're going to go to the side, and you're going to want about a 3-degree bevel, so we're going to change this here over to 87. 90 minus 3 is 87. And once again, make sure you get that file going the right way. Alrighty, now that we're done with the edge work, we can move along to the gummy stone here, which is going to remove all those micro burrs and keep your edge in good shape. And if you find rust after you've done the edges, after you've sharpened them and filed them down, this will usually remove the rust with a little bit of elbow grease. Alrighty, so moving on to P-Tex here, we're going to fill in the large gashes. Take your lighter here and just try to get a bit of a point to your P-Tex so you can get nice drops and not blobs coming off of it. Usually takes a while to get it hot. Lit. Now we're just gonna let it drop in and fill these holes. Try not to use too much, but remember you do want to fill those holes in, otherwise you're gonna have your base falling out on you. So with that, we should be good. Now we're going to let the P-Tex dry until it's dry to the touch basically, and after that, because you want to make sure that when you go to scrape it, you're not going to just pull all that P-Tex right back out. So just look for deep gashes that P-Tex is going to need to fill in here, and just keep working on those until you get them all filled in. And then we're going to move on to the next step after this here. Alrighty, so we're just going to let that dry here. So one thing when you're working with P-Tex is you're going to want a metal scraper instead of this plastic one. Plastic one just isn't strong enough to hold up to the P-Tex. So metal scraper, sandpaper is going to go with the P-Tex. Here's a diamond stone. That will also help. Something better than a diamond stone is a Panzer file, which I do not have, but works just as well. So we're going to scrape this out here and try to leave it in the base. Keep your scraper flat so you're not just tearing up and digging a deep gash in your ski. And now we're back to the P-Tex just to fill those holes in after we scrape. This can take a couple times. Never really know how long it'll take. And once again, just let it dry. Alrighty, so we're just going to run this whole scraper over the ski just to remove any burrs or anything like that. Any high spots. And if you run it over smoothly, you should be good to go ahead and move on to the wax. So is what we're going to do. We're going to start with a nylon and steel brush to open up the base to allow the wax to seep in further. And usually, you know, something like 10 to 15 strokes ought to do it here. You should be able to see some of the old wax coming up. So now that we're done with that, we're actually going to take 100 grit sandpaper, being careful to only get the spot where we applied the P-Tex, and move in the direction of the ski yet again. And you want to move with the ski and with the base pattern. Now some skis are going to have a base pattern that's going to go with the ski, and some of them are going to have a cross pattern that's going to go diagonal to the ski. So make sure you can identify that before you take sandpaper to it, and always go with that grain. Being very careful to not take too much away here, as sandpaper is very rough and will do that quickly. So after we're done with that, just brush everything out again. Clean it the best you can. And you should see some wax coming up. So now that we're done with this, we're going to move on to the iron here. So we're going to let that warm up and just continue to work the base, and just watch for stuff that's out of line. You know, the brush isn't going to do much damage, so you can really put some elbow grease into that. Try to keep your brush parallel to the ski, either this way, this way. This way is okay, but be careful with using the brush this way, as it will tend to slide across, which is not necessarily the greatest thing. So our iron over here, we got it heated up. Make sure it's on the right temperature, anywhere between 100 and 140, just depending on what type of wax you're applying. You want an iron that can keep a steady temperature. It's not going to fluctuate. So what we're going to do here is warm the base of the ski up, and that's just going to allow the wax to get all the way in through the pores of the base. Make sure you don't hold the iron in one spot for too long, as that will heat that part up rather quickly and then can cause damage to the base of the ski. So this is the tricky part here now. You're going to take your iron, your wax, being careful of your cord, and we're just going to put the wax on the iron. Try to get it to drip off a corner, and we're going to go towards the back of the ski. And that should be good. Now that you got it on there, you're going to use the iron to heat the wax up yet again and spread that around. You should be able to see where the wax goes. It moves pretty easily with heat. You want to make sure you cover the whole entire ski. Don't worry too much about the tip. A lot of people spend a lot of time trying to get the wax all the way up to the tip, where you're not going to see much snow. So the problem with that is you heat the tip of the ski up, which then destroys the base. So try to keep your iron moving and heat the wax up so it'll move with you. You're going to want to be careful that you get every part so you get wax everywhere you need. So just run your iron up and down the skis a couple of times after you spread the wax, just to get it in. Here most people like to go with the ski to push it and force the wax down into the grain. Make sure you got the wax everywhere and you should be good. And now we're going to let the wax dry. Alrighty, so now that we've let the wax dry, we're going to take our plastic scraper here. Not the metal one, because it'll absolutely destroy all the wax you just took your time to put on. And we're going to go ahead and scrape it off the ski. do that a second time. Being careful and trying to get even pressure. Alrighty, now that we're done with the plastic scraper, we're going to move along here to the nylon with steel bristle, and once again go with the grain of the ski, and that'll take out any excess wax and also force it down into the grain of the ski. And now that you're done with the nylon brush, take a rag, wipe the bottom of your ski, just try to dust it off. And now you can move on to the nylon only brush. This is going to polish the ski, so this is definitely going to take a lot more passes than the steel brush. So take your time, make sure you really get the wax in. Once again with the brush, make sure you're going with the ski and not at a diagonal or anything like that. Definitely not sideways. So and now that you're done with one ski, wash, rinse, and repeat on the other ski. Do the same thing. And as always, if you have any questions, leave those down in the comments. Thanks for coming along today. Hope you can learn how to wax your own skis. Thank you.